Treasurer Stephen Mullighan, thank you for joining us.
It's great to be here.
Treasurer, can I start with the cost of living package unveiled in the budget yesterday? A one-off $244 concession payment. That doesn't quite cover, for many people, a weekly shop. Have you done enough to help those vulnerable South Australians?
Well, we've tailored our cost of living package to complement the very broad-based relief that the Commonwealth Government is providing. The Stage 3 tax cuts are giving a significant tax cut to every Australian worker. So we've tried to focus on those people who aren't going to benefit from those federal measures, people on concessions, pensioners, those people on very low and fixed incomes, where we've tailored our support.
But do you think you've gone far enough?
Well, I think it'll make a meaningful difference. I mean, this is effectively doubling their concession payment from the state government. It's giving it to them very quickly, straight into their bank account, right at the beginning of winter, when many people are thinking about how they're going to meet their next energy bill, which is going to cover the winter period. So,
why didn't you make bigger changes to concessions?
Well, I think we made a fairly broad range of concessions, not just this. We've also extended public transport concessions to state healthcare card holders. We've expanded a range of existing concessions to groups of South Australians that were falling through the cracks and not being eligible for it. And then, of course, there's the very significant cost of living relief we're providing to families, particularly families with school-aged children, trying to ease or reduce the cost of those children participating in sport and recreation activities, and reducing the costs of kids going to school in the public school system.
Can I pick you up on that point, though?
Sure.
That package there, obviously the sports clients programs and the materials package, are you concerned that's just going to be eaten up by increases in water bills come July 1?
I think this is going to make a meaningful difference.
But isn't the reality here that they're just going to balance each other out and people are just going to be left no better off?
Well, I think what we've said is that we're trying to keep increases to government fees and charges and those regular bills that come in from the state government below inflation, and then provide additional support in terms of these additional payments to make sure that people have got more money in their pocket and they can use that money more flexibly.
But you have flagged there is going to be an increase to water bills.
Well, we are expecting an increase to water bills. I mean, there's usually an increase every year. And of course, this time around, we've got a really acute pressure. For many years, we've got SA Water, which hasn't been provisioning enough to get new water infrastructure out to the developing parts of South Australia, and in particular Greater Metropolitan Adelaide. But we're waiting to see what the Essential Services Commission says about that, how much money SA Water will have to spend on that over the next 4 years, and then how that's going to impact water bills.
You've just brought up housing there. Does this budget move fast enough to deliver the housing supply that's needed? We've got families in South Australians who want to get in the market now and are struggling to do that.
Well, I think it makes further progress. This is the third budget I've handed down, and it's the third budget with a significant housing package. And across the three budgets, $1.4 billion of extra funding for housing.
But how many more houses do we actually have from when you took office?
So in our first budget, we committed to building more than 400 new public housing homes, and we're significantly advanced with that. In fact,
but that's not really making a dent, is it though, Treasurer?
Well, we need to build more public housing. Not only are we building more housing, we're stopping the sale of houses out of the Housing Trust, which were slated for sale under the previous government. So we're trying to maintain supply and then add to it. We're also providing more incentives for people to build more homes, in particular first home buyers. And we're also directly developing government-owned land, big tracts of government-owned land at Seaton. And also.
But is that happening fast enough? I guess that's my question.
Yeah, well, I think across the country we've got a housing affordability problem, and that is being underpinned by a lack of supply coming on quick enough to keep up with demand. So I can't sit here and say that we are keeping up with the demand in the market because we're not, just like the rest of the country isn't. But what we're doing in this budget is adding further measures to try and help us bridge that gap.
Can we just turn to debt now?
Sure.
Is the South Australian government the political equivalent of a major appliance retailer here, whereby your motto is spend now and pay later?
Well, we're investing for the benefit of the state into the future. So we're building the infrastructure that our community absolutely needs, whether it's a new hospital, the new Women's and Children's Hospital, or major new transport projects, finishing the North-South Corridor, which itself was started by Labor back in 2005. And we're also making, transformational investments in making sure our kids are better prepared by the time they start school, as well as massively expanding our skills and training.
But if every South Australian gave the government $23,000, that wouldn't be enough to pay off the debt. How is that good budget management?
Well, we've got the budget in surplus, and even as we're paying those higher additional costs that are required to service that debt, we're still running budget surpluses. And our overall debt affordability metrics still compare very favourably to where the previous government had forecast the state budget to go. As of today...
But isn't that as a result of the Malinowskis government sliding back the spending on those major projects and then adding billions of dollars to their cost?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we've had a significant growth in the state's economy over the last 3 years in particular. We've had a larger budget as that economy has generated more revenues into the state budget, and that's given us a greater capacity to fund these major projects and make these significant investments. So I think the key thing we need to be watching is the debt affordable? And this budget shows that it is.
But spending's the easy bit. What is your plan to pay it back down, the debt?
So once we get past these two major projects, particularly the North-South Corridor works and the new hospital, that will give us more capacity in the budget to start reducing those debt levels, as well as making capacity for other infrastructure priorities. You know, we're not going to have other opportunities for further big-ticket investments until we get the bulk of the spending for the North-South Corridor and the new Women's and Children's Hospital behind us.
Treasurer Stephen Mullighan, thank you.
Thanks for having me.